first time that I heard that line in that movie, Hacksaw Ridge, they don't believe like you believe, but they believe in how much you believe. Sometimes other people need our faith. Sometimes other people need our faith to be the launching point for theirs. The parallel passage is the paralytic man, is what the story is known as in the scripture, where Jesus is teaching in a house, and the four friends gather the paralytic man. They can't get to him, so they go through the roof of the house, and Jesus looks up and sees their faith. Maybe the paralytic man's faith is included in that, maybe it's not, but he saw their faith. Sometimes our faith can be the launching point for somebody else's. In this series, we've been saying the same thing. Can we say it out loud together? Here we go. What kind of church would my church be if everyone in my church was just like me? Well, today would be a pretty full church. That's what it would be, right? The future is here. We don't have flying cars, but we do have a lot of other cool stuff. But we're going to be people who create it and don't fear of the future. And we get to create that kind of a future, to cultivate an irresistible, Christ-centered, focused culture. Vision and mission. Vision is how you carry out the mission. The mission is plain and simple for every church. Great commission, great commandment. Let's love the Lord our God with all our heart, mind, soul, and strength. Let's go into all the world and preach the gospel. Vision is how each church does it. How many of you have only attended this church your entire life? Can I see your hand? Al Riefel, that's probably you. This is the only church you've attended your entire life. Everyone else, you've attended multiple churches. They do it differently. Some churches today are doing a great job ministering to people, and the pastor is wearing a robe. Some of them don't have a drum set. Some of them have a smoke and mirrors almost, it seems, in terms of their large size. The Rock Church, I think that's what it's called in Columbus, they're one of the 100 largest churches in the entire nation. Did you realize that? And I'm assuming there's another church 2 miles down the road from the Rock that is not one of the 100 largest churches in the nation, but does things exactly the opposite. Different vision, different way they're carrying things out. I'm going to be quick in this next part because we've gone over it each week. But our vision, we exist to be for all people. We are for all people because he died for all people. He gave himself for all people. Why? For all people have sinned. There's no one guilt-free on that. We know that. We know our hearts. And because Jesus is for all people, we also will be for all people. We also will long and love for all people. We will give thanks for all people, and we will pray for all people. Because as M1, we are for all people. If they are a person, we are for them. If they're a who, whether Horton hears them or not, right? If there are you on the other side of you, we are for them. We are against no one. Even if we disagree with them. We fight things, not people. Not people. Who does Jesus hate? That's the horizon. That's what we're aimed at. Not Canada. That's what my dad and I are looking at there, Canada. We want to be a church for those who thought church was against them. And if that catches your heart, if that's kind of the journey you want to be on, then you may want to be part of where we're headed for all people. In this series, we're looking at what a core value is. If the why we are doing things is, why are we doing that? Because we're for all people. Well, how do we break that down practically? And what is called as core values. A core value is simply a description of what it says, what we actually say we value. Some people, their core value is to save up a ton of money and go crazy on Black Friday. Some, their core value is all sorts of different things. Excellence in their work, perhaps. Our core values should be biblical. They should be memorable so they'll stick in there, and that makes it portable, which means they need to be emotional and personal. Our core values may look different than Avenue Church, may look different than Fusion, may look different than Storyside, may look different than Crossroads. And that's all right. They should be. We're different churches. But they should be short and engage our heart. What we're trying to do, be for all people. How are we doing it? So last week we launched that series. Because we're for all people, we value desperation. Nothing will stop him. If you have an amazing memory, you'll see that we tweaked that a little bit because after communicating it, got some different ideas. Instead of nothing can stop him, which is true, but that just talks about God's power and capacity. It doesn't talk about his heart. Nothing will stop him. He could stop, but nothing will stop him. Why? He's desperate. How desperate was he? He threw his son in front of a moving bus for us. That's how desperate he was. That's how desperate we will be. And apart from Jesus, we can do nothing. And apart from him, nothing is impossible. Therefore, we'll stop at nothing. We will stop at nothing so that all people can be deeply connected to him. And if you're here today, you're an atheist, you're an agnostic, I don't know what I believe, but I'm pretty sure I don't believe like you believe. I hope, literally, I prayed this morning that when you sit through this series and you hear these core values, that you will wish in the depths of your heart and pray to the God that you don't know if he's there or not, that we would accomplish what our core values are, because you're confident that your world and our world would be better if we actually succeed at carrying out these core values. Because we're for all people, we value desperation. And today, because we are for all people, we value belonging. Found people, find people. Found people, find people. You were lost at some point. If you're a follower of Jesus, you were lost, and now you are found. I didn't even tell Caleb what songs to sing in the slightest. And Amazing Grace fits in perfect there today. Does it not? I once was lost and now am found. So who found you? Pastor, no one found me. I raised my hand a little bit ago because I'm 22 and this is where my parents brought me to church. Okay, who found your parents? Oh, they were always raised in church. Who had the guts to go up to your grandpa in a bar and say he needed Jesus? That's Phil Robertson's story of Duck Dynasty. That's his story. Watch the movie. It's excellent. It's excellent. When the lost are found, we celebrate. And can I challenge you? Can I encourage you? Can I affirm you that you are capable and qualified to be a finder? Found people find people. The best passage for this is in John chapter 1. The next day, Jesus decided to leave for Galilee, finding Philip. Philip was found by Jesus. Finding Philip, he said to him, "Follow me." Philip, like Andrew and Peter, was from the town of Bethsaida. Continuing, Philip found Nathanael and told him, "We have found the one Moses wrote about in the law." Actually, not accurate, dude. Jesus found you, but you go ahead and keep claiming that you found him, okay? All right, you can be cocky and arrogant about that. And about whom the prophets also wrote, Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph. Watch this. And immediately, Nathanael Philip found Nathanael goes into a discussion and a question and wants to argue. One, he could just be making fun of Nazareth, kind of like we make fun of that state up north, right? Right? It could be a little bit of back and forth, or he could be making a theological poke, because nothing good's supposed to come out of Nazareth. That's not where the Messiah comes from. In either case, he tries to sidestep the conversation, says, Nazareth, can anything good come from there? And Philip just says, come and see. Philip doesn't get into an argument with him. Philip just says, come and see. Philip doesn't go, well, let's look deep into the scriptures and really understand what they're trying to mean. Let's go to the original language. Doesn't do that. He just says, come and see. Pastor, if I invite someone, I don't know how to explain the Trinity. Don't try to explain the Trinity to them. Invite them to come and see. I think they ought to come to my church because I'm sensing life there and it's awesome stuff, but I can't answer all their questions. Don't try to answer all their questions. Why are all those extra books in the Bible? I don't know. I can't tell them why the extra books aren't in the Bible. I can't, but it's irrelevant right now. Just ask them to come and see. Come and see. Come and see what God's been doing in my life. Come and see where God's been doing it. Just simply say, come and see. Here's what I know about invitations. The most impactful moments in your life happen because of an invitation. And some of your most regretful moments of our lives happen because of an invitation. Go ahead, try this. Buy this. Do you want to drink? Do you want to smoke? Do you want to toke? Do you want to hit? Do you want to spend the night? You want to go out? You want to marry me? We'd like to offer you a job. Those invitations totally changed our lives. Every major intersection in your life had an invitation. If we can get real for a moment, you exist Because someone invited somebody somewhere at some time to something. And teens, if you think that's cringy, just show up this Wednesday night, man. It's going to be twice as worse. That's legit. They already know that's where we're headed this Wednesday. Friends, our faith can be the trailhead, the start for someone else's faith journey. What if our invitation holds the key to unlock the door to their faith? Do we know what hangs in the balance of our invitation? No, nobody does, and nobody ever has. Nobody ever has. We can look back, and when Ronald Victor Sandoval invited me to come to church with him, he did not know what it was all going to happen back when he did that in May of '85. But I know this: we are glad, not mad, at the person who invited us. We are glad, not mad at the person that invited our dad, invited our mom, invited our grandparents. They showed us dignity and possibility by inviting us. Because we are for all people, we value belonging. And a statement you've heard me say multiple times, not original: belonging is the beginning of believing and becoming. We want to be a church where you can bring your hurts, your habits, your hang-ups, your doubts, and even your questions. If Jeremiah can still be in the Bible after some of the things he said about God, there's room for you here. Those words, though, the become, believe, and belong, sometimes it's hard to figure out what order should they be in. Is believe first? Should it be believe first? Should believing be first? Because that means somebody can't belong until they believe. Or is behave first? And if they behave, if they change their language, if they stop smoking, stop chewing, don't go out with girls that do, and clean up their language, and their vocabulary goes from 4-letter words to 3-letter words and 5-letter words, does that mean that they can finally belong? I'm glad that wasn't the case in my life. Is it possible for someone to belong before they behave? To belong before they believe? Belonging is the beginning of believing and becoming. Look in your New Testament at the disciples. When did they actually believe that Jesus was who he said he was? After they behaved? Nope. They were called Jesus' followers before they believed that Jesus was who he said he was. What about the crowd? The crowds that followed him. Many would say, "Oh, no, I belong to the Jesus rabbi. I don't follow this rabbi over here. I follow the Jesus rabbi." They belonged way before they believed. Jesus called people to follow him before they ever behaved or ever believed. We looked at one of those passages just a few moments ago. Follow me. They didn't believe yet, but they were part of Jesus' posse already. Do you realize that people can benefit from our local church community right here, right now, before they ever believe any of our conclusions about Jesus? We have people who belong here. This is their church. I am their pastor. They quote unquote belong here, but they don't believe. They don't believe. And they're still keeping Jesus at a distance. And there's people who belong here, but they don't behave. They don't. And I'm not talking about a screaming kid. They don't behave. They're battling sin, or they're not battling sin and giving into it. They're keeping the Holy Spirit at distance. What if the only place that someone felt wanted was here, in their week? It's a space. And for some people, I know that it is. It's the only place they get a high five. It's the only place they get a fist bump. It's the only place they get a side. It's the only place they're called by name, maybe. Their apartment complex, no one calls them by name unless they're mad, right? This is a space and a place that Ernie Russell, who would sit in the last row over there, felt like he belonged, even if you never got a chance to meet him. He felt like he belonged to those who sat near. If he would have been missing for another 2 or 3 weeks, people would have been asking, "Hey, where's the older guy that sat over there? I think his name was Arvin or something?" No, Arvin sits over there. That's Arvin. That's Arnie over there. What if no one felt alone in here? No one felt unseen. No one felt unfound. If you've been found by Jesus, let's be finders. Because we're for all people, we value belonging. Found people find people. Belonging is the beginning of believing and becoming. Therefore, we're creating a church for the people we're inviting. That's why we do what we do. It's for the people we are inviting. Why do we do this and not that? I went to so-and-so church and they do it like this. And I come over here in this church and you do it like that. Well, apparently doing it like this is how that church is trying to reach people. And I hope that they're being crazy successful with it. And we're doing it like this over here because we hope that this is going to work to be able to reach the people that we're trying to reach. Maybe it's different demographics. Maybe it's a different style church. Maybe there's a little bit difference in theology on it. But it's why we do what we do. And it's for those we're inviting. It's not just for us that are already here. So we just did something a few moments ago. And it's part of our liturgy, if you want to say. We end worship time, and then we encourage each other to greet one another. In our I don't even know what we call it in our service order we put together. It might be called just greeting time. I'm not going to ask for a show of hands, but for some of you, that's a cause of great anxiety for you, the greeting time. I'm not making fun of you. I'm empathizing and letting you know I understand that. It's not how I feel, but I want to respect that. But what if we never did that? What if the only people you talked to were the ones that were just 2 or 3 feet from you or came with you in the car, and that was it? See, the gospel's not just vertical. It's horizontal. And if we can get people connected to God vertically, that's awesome. But if they don't get connected horizontally at all, what's the chance they're going to stay connected vertically? Isn't that one of the main purposes of a local church? Because you don't need to come to church to worship Jesus. You can do it while you're out hunting. What hunting season is it? I have no idea. Deer, okay. Okay, I'll try and get one today on my drive home. Usually I do a better job of getting them in the morning, but when I'm running on B&O Trail in the dark, I see them, but I usually wave and make myself really big so they run away, because I know that if I jog past them at 1 mile an hour, that buck's going to come out and knock me right over. And no one's going to be there to videotape it, yeah. Let me tell you why we do a greeting time. I've met some real extroverts, and they drive me nuts, right? They want to hug me 7 times. That's not me. It looks like me on Sunday, but trust me, it's not. And I've met some people that are raging introverts. I've never met anybody yet in 59 years that truly wants to be ignored. Why do we take time to greet? Seenness. So you can be seen. Glenn? Yeah. I can actually see some faces up in the balcony today. So you can be seen, David. Yeah. So you can be seen. Why am I dropping your name? To James. So you can be seen. Seenness. Can you imagine coming, attending, leaving, and pretty confident no one looked you in the eye the entire time? It happens. I've got a story I can share, but it's not my story, and I don't have permission to share it, so I got to keep moving. It's why we focus and spend so much time in life groups. You realize that's one of the hardest things that we do? Is to try and get people that are Americans that love their independence to get in a circle and be interdependent. It'd be a lot easier to get you to sit in rows. It is a ton of effort to get you to sit in a circle. But when you sit in a circle, your life changes differently than it does when you just sit in a row. Because belonging is the beginning of believing and becoming. And found people find people. If you hit a mountaintop in your life, but you got no one to celebrate it with, is it as good? Or if you hit a valley in your life, and you're going to hit both, if you hit a valley and there's no one there to grieve or comfort with you, doesn't that make it even worse? Regardless of whether it's a loss of life in your family or just a dream that isn't going to happen now. What if, instead of thinking, hey, church is for me, And I'm going to choose a church based on my needs. What if we chose the church we're going to attend based on what it was going to offer the people I'm going to invite? I mean, that's one of the things I challenge people at every time we have a new people party. Hey, you want to find a church that has this, 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 and you want to find a church you can invite people to. If this isn't a church you can invite people to because we're too dead and dry, and you can define that however you want, or if you can't invite people here because we're too whacked out and crazy, and you can define that however you want. If you can't invite people here, this isn't the church for you. You need to be somewhere where you want to be able to go somewhere where you can invite people. If this is a place you can invite people, that's why we're doing what we're doing. That's why I speak for about as long as I do. Some people say, hey, speak longer. Some people say, speak longer. That was a stretch, wasn't it? Friends, we're the church. The church doesn't exist for us. We're the church. We exist for the world. We exist for the world. I did a thing the other year on a sabbatical where it's kind of like, hey, get a vision for your life. And it wasn't a get a vision if you don't have one. It was, how would you distill it down? And it asked me all these questions, and I filled it all out, and I'm going, and it's just knocking things down. What's your main thing, main thing, main thing, main thing? And mine came pretty clear. What do I do? You're the pastor. You're the preacher. What do I actually do? I remove obstacles for people connecting to God. That's what I do. I remove obstacles for people that are connecting to God. Are they theological obstacles? Are they philosophical obstacles? Are they relational obstacles? Are they physical facility obstacles? I remove obstacles for people connecting to God. And I try to create and craft a church culture and systems so that somehow, some way, you'll want to invite people to connect to God. That if the person you invited dared to visit, and I don't say dare as in a negative way, but that they dared like they would dare to jump off of a plane, because for them it may be more frightening to walk into here than to jump off of a plane, simply because we're church and they don't do church. They haven't done church. It's your de-churched parent. It's your uninterested teen. It's your defensive boyfriend or girlfriend that doesn't want to come but wants you to shut up and quit asking them to come. If we've removed enough obstacles, that when they come, they'll receive encouragement and not disappointment. That's a win. If they'll receive clarity and not confusion, if they'll get compassion but without compromise, and if there's a chance for the Holy Spirit to bring conviction without us bringing any condemnation, that's what we're aimed for. That's what we're trying to do, to be for all people. We value desperation because nothing's going to stop him. Nothing will stop him. Apart from Jesus, we can do nothing. With him, nothing is impossible. Therefore, we're going to stop at nothing for all people to be deeply connected to him. And we value belonging, because found people find people. Belonging is the beginning of believing and becoming. And that's why we're creating a church for the people we are inviting. That's the direction that we're headed. So dream with me. What would it look like or to feel like to pray with someone to receive Christ? I talked to somebody the other day. They're planning a church in Hilliard. They've been planning this church for 6 weeks. They were on somebody's TikTok live and asking questions. They ended up meeting him for coffee, and he led him to Jesus, and then he got baptized. And he lives, so he finally finds out where this guy lives, Ontario. And this guy is saying, Ontario, like Warriors Pizza, Ontario? You go, yep, that Ontario. That was the name, that was the claim to fame. That was their connection, Warriors Pizza. That was their connection. All in favor of Warriors Pizza? So what would it be like? It felt amazing for that guy to invite him. What would it feel like if the person that's getting baptized on Thanksgiving Sunday asked you to baptize them because you're the one that was most instrumental in them coming to faith? Yeah. We don't fear the future. We'll create it. It won't be easy, but it will be good. So I love the church. I end each message in this series the same way, and I know it. When the church is off mission, no one on the planet likes it. When the church is on mission, there's nothing like it on the planet. Stand with me, would you?